Well, here we are. It is day 6, FCF, and we're looking at this subject of calling. And what I've said repeatedly is that usually you and I today don't have the same kind of dramatic callings. We don't have the kind of clarity that the people we find in the Bible. Good reason for that. They didn't have a Bible. They would have traded the clarity of their calling any day for having a full Bible like we have today. Therefore, you and I, we have to do some biblical detective work, and we have to discern what our calling or callings might be. And it's usually related to some unique ability or life learning or skill or opportunity or even proximity with someone or some event that we have. And we are enabled to take some action. And so that's kind of the detective trail we take. Now, we've said all along that doing these things, fulfilling these callings, doing what we were called to do is critical for our development. It's as we do the calling of God, do the will of God, do the work of God, that we develop to become the Christ-like version of ourselves. So there's no doing, there's no development. Let me close out then. This will be our 6th day of this journey where we're looking at callings, and we're going to look at the story of John the Baptist. Let me pick up reading in Luke chapter 1, verse 57. It says, "When it was time for Elizabeth to have her baby, she gave birth to a son. Her neighbors and relatives heard that the Lord had shown her great mercy, and they shared her joy. On the 8th day they came to circumcise the child, as they were going to name him after his father Zechariah." So they were going to name the child Zechariah. But his mother spoke up and said, "No, he is to be called John." This was because the angel had revealed this to her. Now listen to the rest of the description of what her child, John, we know him today as John the Baptist, what he was to do, what his unique calling was. "And you, my child, will be called a prophet of the Most High, for you will go on before the Lord to prepare the way for him, to give his people the knowledge of salvation through the forgiveness of their sins." So here John knows his calling, or is given his calling at birth, that he is to prepare the way for the Lord and for individuals to come into a trusting relationship with the Lord so that their sins can be forgiven. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, gee, how does anybody prepare the way for the Lord? Because the Lord has already come and he's gone to the cross and he rose from the grave and we're waiting for his second coming. So how might my calling be to prepare the way for the Lord? It might be more obvious than you ever imagined. Usually, God will use a human being to reach into the life of another human being and bring that person to himself. In other words, you might be preparing someone, you might be the key, the catalyzing person that through your personality, your life learnings, the unique credibility that you have with this person, that you prepare them to open their hearts toward Christ. It might be a person whose life was completely shut down from God. They had no interest whatsoever. But God's going to use you. He's going to put you into their life. And through their interaction with you, and as you share the place that God has in your heart and life, you are preparing the way into their hearts for the Lord's entrance into their heart and life. In other words, you are supplying credible information to them so that they can start to prepare to trust themselves or to put their trust themselves into Christ. But you're going to be the key. You're the one that, as we say in church lingo, you led them to Christ, or you were a key person in leading them toward Christ. God wants to use all of us to some degree as those that prepare the way for the Lord, like John the Baptist. But sometimes our calling is that God's got a unique selection of people that we're very uniquely crafted for. For example, let's say that you have a background in the technology world, and you're just a whiz at technology. Well, there's likely to be people that you will interact with that are also technology wizards, and your background, skills, and knowledge gives you credibility with them. And when you change subjects and start speaking to them about what is other matters that are very important to you, because you already have credibility with them, you prepare the way for the Lord to suddenly become valuable and important to their lives as well. So why not ask yourself today, does God want to use me to prepare the way into the heart, prepare the way of the Lord into someone's heart today, that I'm going to be the agent that God's going to use to soften someone's heart, to open their thoughts up about God and about life, to stretch their perspective on life itself, to challenge them to think more deeply about God and life, and particularly Christ? Are you one that God has called to prepare the way for the Lord for somebody? We only looked at 6 of these callings. Folks, there's so many, probably hundreds of different callings. Remember, the callings are usually related to some skills, some ability, some life learning, some opportunity, some unique credibility we have with a group of people or an individual. We have to do some biblical detective work. We have to do some discerning to find those callings. But please do find the callings. Do what God's called you to do, because that's how we develop to become who God intended us to be. I hope this 2-week journey has been meaningful to you. Thank you so much.